It's time to have an honest conversation about race. Cars. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on your mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
You know when you're so nervous you can feel your heartbeat in your butthole?
I am getting ready to head back up to Laguna Seca and race another car.
Oh, speaking of butthole nervous.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I've been there 3 times in the last, 5 months.
3 times, fool!
3 times. And the part that's interesting, although may not be to the non-car people, but...
We'll be the judge of that.
Our audience is 95% car people, yeah?
The first race I did was a professional Trans Am race, big modern Trans Am race car, 925 horsepower, sequential shift, modern supercar. Then the second race I did was a 1979 Porsche 935 Newman Le Mans car. And now I'm going up with a little 4-banger shitbox Datsun 510, just a box with not much horsepower and 13-inch rims. So 3 very different vehicles on the same track.
Why is that?
Because they do different events. Like the Rolex Historics is a little la-di-da and a little highfalutin, and they don't like the Japanese shitboxes represented out there. But this is a separate event, which will have a bunch of Japanese shitboxes there and some alpha shitboxes and some other little 4-banger shitboxes. And then the reality is the little cars with less horsepower and more evenly matched and aggressive drivers, because those guys drive the shit out of those cars, is a funner event.
That makes sense.
Because people are piled up like a group of angry bees going around the
like
the whole
kids playing
place.
Soccer, just a one big group. Running
swarmed.
around.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of interesting is that the little cars will make it around the track as fast as some of the bigger, higher horsepower cars, just because it's so technical and their momentum and it's lots of turns. And so it's not, you're not relying on horsepower, you're relying on momentum.
I like that.
And that means you have to drive smoother and better, because with more fluidity and finesse, because the horsepower is not going to get you out of whatever you screwed up on in the corner. So we got that. Speaking of cars, I was thinking about this when I was doing CarCast today. When you have kids, I don't know if you guys are experiencing this, but I'd have to figure out, and you'd have to figure out what you're really into. But, nature, nurture. I used to be a lot more nurture-oriented. Then I started to think it became kind of nature-oriented, and now I'm off both of them.
Okay.
It just is. That kid is that kid, and that kid is that kid, and we always want to know why. The answer is no reason. That's just it. I was talking to my son last night about when are you going to get your goddamn driver's license, and he said, I'm good. And I said, I'm not good, because I'm going to need to dispatch you to go to the shop and pick up a truck or something, or go get something and bring it back. And
for him, doesn't he have to go places?
He can Uber.
Doesn't care. He's got an electric bike, and he's the king of La Cañada on that thing. And he's not interested. But then I started thinking, okay, so then how does any of this work? My dad is tied with people who died before cars were invented for least interested in cars. He's tied with all who came before
who didn't
him.
know cars existed.
All the great Egyptian pharaohs.
Some of them probably had a theoretical interest.
Sure.
Like, what if someday if there was some motorized?
Yeah, you're right. They would be more interested. More interested in cars would be the group that had never heard of a car, but you explain to them what the invention is. My dad, it's not measurable. It's because it's zero.
Yeah.
It is zero interest in automobiles. Then there's his son, that is me, with a large interest in automobiles. And then there's my son. We're back at zero again. So how does it work? This thing, we do this thing all the time. It's like, these kids need to be exposed to music. You know what I mean? Oh, so they all take up the fucking oboe from the inner city? Like this exposure? We're going to walk them through a museum. We're going to have them exposed to music. Exposed. my kid was exposed to cars from the day he got home from the hospital to 10 minutes ago in the kitchen when he was explaining to me he didn't want a license. He's not interested. I can't get him to be interested through nurture or nature. Not there.
Yeah.
Is there ironically, so I'm not privy to the inner workings of the Carolla family, but is there a bit of a nurture in his disinterest, which is you all have cultivated a lifestyle that is very, very comfortable for Sonny. Like, he doesn't need or want to get out of the house and escape to somewhere or go drive and visit cooler friends' houses. He has the coolest house and he has all the resources. Is there some backdoor nature, backdoor nurture?
There's always going to be factors, but if you're interested in cars or you're interested in drumming, you're interested in it. You know, that's what you're interested in. He is not.
Yeah, and to shit on Brian's point, I'm sure there are plenty of rich kids that could have anything they wanted that do extensive research on which car that they're going to be gifted for their 16th birthday. Didn't you ever watch My Super Sweet 16? This is literally all they fucking care about.
I love that show.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So,
what about Natalia? Can you dispatch her to? She likes driving.
She likes driving, but that's about as
but
far
not
as
doing
she
your
gets.
bidding.
No. So I'm just saying, in the world of we need to expose everyone to everything, and you need to get your kids and teach them or bring them with you to the garage, and then they're going to learn. And everyone kind of buys into that. I do not. Everyone I know who has a brother, sister, whatever, they're just into this or they're into that, and that is that.
I did not end up having a lucrative career in sports announcing.
Right. There you go.
I had no interest.
All right. So there's that. There's also...
we should do a YouTube exclusive bit where Gina does play-by-play for like a football game.
I'd love it.
That'd be great.
There was a mayoral debate out here. Rick Caruso's going up against Karen Bass. And...
not white Rick Caruso.
Not non-white. He's Italian or something.
Christy told me that.
Can I say this? If you'd like to check where a society is with race, you can look at data compiled by the FBI, but there's better ways to do it, which is how many people are trying to ingratiate themselves and or actually become Rachel Dolezal style another race. Like, how many people, Elizabeth Warren is 500 million Cherokee trying to pass herself off as, when you have a society, Germany, 1939, no non-Jews were trying to pass themselves off as Jews. It may have existed. I've not heard of it. So
not once.
The group that's oppressed has white people attempting to enter the oppressed group. That's my argument with why they're not oppressed in 2022. But anyway, they're doing the debate. And it's all about race, as it always is, which we just had the 3 Latino LA City Council people get busted for not only getting into blacks, but getting into Armenians and getting into Asians.
Oaxacans.
And Oaxacans.
Their territory, their regional.
Well, they don't even like their own. We just look at them as Latino, and they're like, no, siree.
You see them walking around Koreatown.
Those guys are from Central America. We're from Mexico. It's like, oh, God. There's
a pecking order.
What is the end game? Does it ever help? But here we go. And at some point, people are just going to have to be courageous enough to just go, when they start bringing up race, just to go,
who cares?
Are we getting into this? It's 2022. We have homeless people piling up in the street. Businesses are fleeing. Taxes are too high. We're overregulated. School system, 49th in the nation. That race is like a boutique problem we can get to later on, if in fact it's even a thing in 2022.
We should be so lucky that that's our problem.
Right, but
our biggest problem.
It always makes me think. You can do the Trump-Biden debate one first, because it always makes me laugh, because this was one of their debates. I played it for you before, where Trump is wanting to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop or whatever it is, and the moderator's like, we got to get back to race.
Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I
you've
have to
just
respond to that.
Please.
All right. That's a good out, the stay on the issue of race, I think. Unless she says more. No. All right, just give yourself a out, edit. Yeah, all right. Somebody's mad. Well, I don't know. Play it again. I'm just saying you got to call your out.
Calling you a corrupt politician. Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race.
There you go. But what was after it now? Now we got to see.
Who cares? Let's just move on.
I want to know what was I want to know what was after it.
We're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks.
Wait a second.
He went back to the laptop?
Yeah.
Is a Russian plant.
I thought you want to stay on the issue of
They
race.
have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA. Both parties say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this where you're
exactly what.
All right. Well, this is interesting, Chris.
All right.
Only because Robert Davi's coming in here and he did a movie on it. Yes.
Well, and they doubled down on what you just said, because what we just described. I want to stay on the issue of race, and Biden's like, yes, but I'd like to do a 5-minute monologue about the laptop. So which is it?
It turned out to be real. Which they knew was real. It's a weird thing. The laptop, is it real? Does someone have it? Well, then yes, it's real.
There are pending charges.
The movie lays out very much that Biden knew at this point. I watched the movie.
Oh, who would know more than
Dad
Biden at this point? But anyway, we'll get to the mayoral thing because it's more race.
The race.
Which we've all signed off on.
This question goes for the both of you. The next mayor of Los Angeles will be either an African-American woman or a white man.
I'm Italian.
Italian-American.
Not white.
Thank you. That's Latin. Thank you.
Latin.
Yes, trying not to be. He's trying not to be white, so we can get votes from dumb people who have. We have Lori Lightfoot fucking up Chicago. Like there's examples of black women who run cities and they're into the fucking ground. So can we just turn the page and go, let's get somebody who knows what they're doing regardless of the race? First off, just how racist is the notion that if Mike Tyson hires Don King, then he'll be taken care of because they look the same. It's a racist. The thought is racist to go, the mayor's going to do more for me if he looks like me. That would make the mayor racist.
Yeah, I don't know what her question ultimately was, but the intro was neither here nor there. It's like, all right, that didn't need to be said.
Yeah, if you're watching this,
I understand what's going on.
Yeah, we have a few. Chris found a few in there, by the way.
This question goes for the both of you. The next mayor of Los Angeles will be either an African-American woman or a white man.
I'm Italian.
Italian-American.
Thank you. That's Latin. Thank you.
Latin. We have now high-ranking Latinos that are there and the council, and it was disturbing. Everybody heard what happened, and people feel totally betrayed, and they're being asked to resign. Trust takes time. Yes. Takes a lot of time. How can you create a trust with the Latino community so they know they're being heard and the community can feel they're represented too?
What? Hold on. Just get the fuck to work. That's all. Stop shitting out kids. Focus on education and go to fucking work. You'll be fine.
But that question didn't make any sense. The Latino community were the ones shitting on the other races.
The beginning, middle, and end of that question didn't go together.
Just fucking.
The trust isn't nobody.
How's he going to reestablish the thing that they fucked up? The three Latinos fucked up.
But neither of them are Latino, so how could they answer that?
Got to reestablish that trust. I don't know. the trust the Latino community formerly had with the three Latinos who they trusted to focus on them and help them build back better in Los Angeles. They broke that trust. You're making my point, cunt.
That was a bizarre question.
All right, let's just hear it again because it just makes me laugh. How are you going to? By the way, could we get moderators that are worth a shit? You know what I mean? Could we get people in there going fucking homeless? What's going on? You guys already wasted $6 billion. What is the plan? Don't give me the talk about children being the future. I want to know what the fuck's going on. And I have follow-up questions. All right, sorry. Good.
We have now high-ranking Latinos that are there and the council. And it was disturbing. Everybody heard what happened. And people feel totally betrayed. And they're being asked to resign. Trust takes time. Yes. It takes a lot of time. How can you create a trust with the Latino community so they know they're being heard?
Who feels betrayed?
And the community can feel they're represented too.
The Latino community wasn't the one that was hurt by this.
The
Latino council members were making fun of other people. I don't understand the question.
The problem with all the kind of race hustling that never ends is eventually it gets confusing because you're talking about women's rights and then you're talking about transgender rights, but then there's a trans guy who's beating everyone in a swimming pool. So is that women's rights because he's beating women, or is it transgender rights, or is it Latino rights, or the black community? It's an endless serpent that just eats its own tail. It doesn't do anything. And people go like, so what's wrong with a conversation about it? There's a limited amount of time. There's a limited amount of money. There's a limited amount of resources and energy that you give to things. We're giving way too much energy to something.
This is a harbinger of what's to come.
With a notion that a very flawed notion that if the city council looks like you, they're going to somehow do a better job.
Do right by you.
Oh, a better job for you. Yeah. Which I would then argue, well, then what about everyone else who they're not doing as good a job for mathematically because they're focused on you?
And like we've talked about with Barack Obama, wasn't Mayor Bradley beloved?
Tom Bradley.
We had a mayor here.
We named a terminal after him.
One of the biggest airports in the world. Beloved. So what am I missing?
I don't know. It's that was 1972.
Right.
So that was 50 years ago.
That's kind of my point.
we didn't give a shit as much. Listen, I grew up idolizing Dr. J, so I'm not a racist. All right, sorry. Did you find any more in there, Chris? Because
so this is so that was Telemundo news anchor Dunia Elvir. She was one of the moderators, one of three, and then also reporter Conan Nolan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he asked a question.
And the conversation is over brown on black racism and even violence. We know that was a topic. It has been underreported. And there is an opportunity now. The Latino population's half of Los Angeles, will soon be a majority. Also, the fact is that there's brown on brown racism, as we heard on the tape, towards Central Americans. Are you in a position, do you have the guts to have a conversation with that community specifically about how it relates?
Hold on a second. How do you talk to a community? I'm curious. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to talk to the white community? You're going to get a lot of different opinions.
We do it every day.
Robert Davi does not think like Danny Two Sheets, who lives in Santa Monica.
He's Latin.
I don't know how we get them all under the same tent and talk to the community. But it's like there is brown on black crime. There's black on brown crime. There's beige on brown crime.
There's reiteration.
There's taupe on khaki.
On black crime. There's brown on brown crime. Yeah, we get it. Most people who kill black people are black people. Understood?
That's pretty much what he said.
Most people who kill everyone kill sort of within their race. So white people kill white people. So should we have a discussion and then this is seat at the table and an honest dialogue and then this blah.
But at the very least, that was a real question. That wasn't like platitudey, like, how do we gain the trust of the thing that I don't know what I'm saying? He's like, the crime in this community is real. What are you going to do about it, essentially?
I'm not sure about
maybe I was just really
brown on black crime, but maybe it's under Underreported.
Can we hear him again?
No.
Conversation is over brown on black racism and even violence. We know that was a topic. It has been underreported. And there is an opportunity now. The Latino population's half of Los Angeles.
Can I please? I beg white people to stop blowing into everyone's fucking urethra about, I am so interested in race. You know, how are we going to take, as a white man, women of color and brown women? It's just fucking shut up. It's a horrible perpetual cycle of politicians pandering to whatever race they say they're going to help, and then whitey cheering it on because we want to act like we're part of this movement that doesn't exist, or if it exists, it cannot be solved with words. You got to raise test scores here, people, and stop having kids out of wedlock.
You're running for mayor, essentially running for CEO of Los Angeles. Right. Like, work culture is important, but so is the bottom line, and your shareholders will fire your ass if you don't, hit your numbers.
All right, but they've successfully got us to look at everyone as their race when Martin Luther King was talking about something else. But all right, let him answer.
Now, the Latino population's half of Los Angeles will soon be a majority. Also, the fact is that there's brown on brown racism, as we heard on the tape, towards Central Americans. Are you in a position, do you have the guts to have a conversation with that community specifically about how it relates to the black population of Los Angeles? Because that is a topic that has not been discussed.
By the way, we can make fun of Conan Nolan, but if I was a moderator, it would sound like these goddamn left turn arrows. Now, I'm driving through Verdugo Hills, right? Ford F-150 crew cab. Not the duel. And the arrow is red, but I would go on for 25 minutes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator. Is there a question in there?
I'm pissed. The question is how pissed. All right, sorry. Keep it going.
Okay, so this is so Caruso answered some of the questions, and he talks about how he helped the Latino community with education and funding with his wife, but then he ended it with this.
I connect with the Latino community, but quite frankly, my job as mayor is to connect with every community. The Latino community, the black community, the Asian community, right? The Jewish community. If one group rises, we all rise.
Hold on. Untrue. The Asians are kicking the shit out of the Mexicans in this town. They've risen. They didn't pull up
other boats.
You don't pull up other communities because of... And by the way, it's like...
It's a nice notion, but
it's untrue. He said something good at the end. But it's also... I just want to get rid of the community part of this whole thing. It's just people live in Los Angeles. Fucking help them out. It's everybody. We all just live here.
Part of the same community?
Yes.
Los Angelinos?
No. There's the black community, and there's the Asian, and there's the gay, and there's the straight. There's all the different communities. But all right, here's his answer.
If one group rises, we all rise. We do this together in unison, and we don't separate, we don't divide.
You just did.
We all say to ourselves, we can do this, and we can have a better city.
What? Okay.
I get the idea.
What was the good part?
Oh, I don't know. I thought he had, I don't know.
Not a strong finish from...
He's not very polished.
You cut that one too short. You went hard out. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's like, look, the part where he goes, let's not separate everyone. Let's all just rise up and have a better community. It's all platitude, but at least he's saying, let's not separate all the communities. Any more hot race talk from the...
Anything from Karen?
There's a lot of... it was all race talk for the most part, but those are some highlights. But
okay, we have in Los Angeles, businesses are fleeing, homelessness is insane, schools are failing, and then there's garbage everywhere, and then crime is rising, and we're just going to talk about raising up communities. It's insane. Look, I've been on this shit for 20 years. It's a bad path to go down, and all it does is pick up speed. Yeah. You guys notice?
Yeah.
I mean, if you went back to a debate in 2000. There would be 196% less race talk than there is now. Now it's all consuming, and every decision's going to be based on it. I'm My vice president, well, she'll be incompetent and she'll be babbling fool, but she will be half black and she will be a woman. Awesome. Just what you want out of your airline pilot, right?
And to look at this from the other direction, like we look at the homeless situation, if you were a person in that community that they were talking about, wouldn't you be fucking irate? Like the things that you just said, the neighborhood I live in, the school system sucks. There's trash everywhere. And you just want to what? Placate me for 5 minutes until your red light goes on? It's time to ask another question?
I don't even know. The people that sort of get up and go to work every day, like I got Jose and Sean working at the other shop. We got Mexican and you got Armo. I don't think they ever sit and think about their community and what somebody's doing for their community. You get the fuck to work. There's a graph that'll illustrate my point.
Are we allowed to call them Armos?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I can't. Yeah, but you know why? Because King Armo, Mark Garrigus, has signed off on me.
That's the first time I ever heard it. So yeah.
Armo.
Sounds like a
King
Mario
Armo.
Brothers character.
King Armo. Yeah, I'm sorry. Do we have that graph? Because I've been screaming about this for 25 years, maybe more, on Loveline. Probably started in 1996. Percent of U.S. births to unmarried women by race. Black is the highest. It's 70% plus, 70.4. Yeah. Slightly less, it's 69.6 is American Indian. Hispanics at 52, about 53%. All, they have it at 40.5. White is 28.4, and bringing in the rear at 12.2. The group that they have to remove from UCLA because their test scores are too high and their median income is way above all the other groups, the Asians at 12.2. If you'd like to help the fucking community, here's a place to start, you fucking hypocrites. Jesus Christ. I know you can't talk about this. They can't. You can't?
Right there.
People are dying. Okay, you want to uplift the community. You want to uplift the community with a fucking mural of Jackie Robinson? Fucking blow me, you assholes. All right, then I told Ben, get the median income. And I hope everyone's buckled.
Is it going to line up?
I think, except for the American Indians, because they're kind of tied with the...
Oh, they got that casino money.
With the blacks. All right, let's see. Can you read that?
It's an inverse. It's an inverse.
Yeah,
graph.
we'll start. I guess since we started with the black community, we'll do that again. Or do you want? Does it matter?
Go ahead.
Black community is 41.5.
They're the lowest. Huh? Wait a minute. The group that has the most out of wedlock kids has the lowest.
American
income.
Indian 44.7.
The second group that has the most out of wedlock kids has the second least amount of income.
Hispanic and Latino 51.4.
Yeah, I don't know why he put Hawaiian.
Native Hawaiian is
we have a lot
that's a thin slice.
Huh.
But we can pull that one.
Okay.
We don't need
White,
that one.
66.
And drum roll with the lowest out of wedlock childbirth percentage.
Asians 87.2.
All right. So there you go.
Directly inverse.
Yes, I have those two graphs. And with those two graphs, we have now settled the subject. Or one of those two candidates can have the guts to sit down with the brown community and have an honest discussion with them about race in 2022.
Sure, that'll happen.
Sure, that'll happen. And what is that? Who? I know you would, I guess one would assemble leaders from that community, but we have homeless advocates who have anointed themselves leaders.
How's that going?
Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. These guys are race hustlers. They're not leaders in that community. So the folks, the homeless advocates, you sit down with them, you start talking about cleaning up the streets, and then they throw a folding chair at you. So who are these community leaders? Who are these people we must speak to about this?
Doesn't seem like they have the best interest in mind.
Ugh, God. All right, but here we go, everyone. Let's just keep barreling down this road.
It's times like this. I mean, there are other things anchoring me here, but I'm so glad to be a renter. I could just fucking leave.
and by the way, it's we need the black and the brown, and then there's the brown on brown, and then there's the black on black, and there's that. Asians rarely come up in this discussion.
Now,
just just kicking ass, just quietly kicking ass.
I'll be over here getting an advanced degree.
Yeah.
And this notion, like last I checked, Mexico had a shitload of Mexicans.
More you know.
Yeah, almost exclusively.
They have broken off into rivalry narco gangs and are shooting it out in the streets with the federales. So how's that working? I mean, your theory of more representation,
right.
They're represented by Mexicans, and then the Sinaloas are shooting it out with the Chihuahua cartel. And how's that going?
Not good.
Okay, there. Jesus fucking Christ.
God, I would love for you to, no joke with the lights, although I'm sure that would come up. I would love for you to be a moderator. Maybe the two of them would come on. Newsom's been on. Maybe they'd come on together.
Neither one of the candidates has metaphorical blood on their hands for this city. Karen Bass, a congresswoman. This guy's a businessman.
Developer.
Like, they can absolve themselves of the problem and look forward to solutions.
Yeah. I think her slogan, I'll paraphrase, his was funny. He has a few and she has a few, but hers is she wants to move Los Angeles forward, which is just one of those platitude-y, we're moving forward. We're moving, I don't know we've been moving forward too fast. We need to start peeling it back a little. His was, at least the one I heard was, make Los Angeles more livable. At least he's a little more practical. It's not livable.
If we're just voting by slogan, I'll vote for that.
All right, let me tell you about Simply Safe. Thinking about protecting your home, but waiting for the right time. Right now, Adam Carolla Show listeners get 40% off. Best home security of 2022. So says U.S. News and World Report. I use these guys. I trust these guys. Small, sleek, ergonomically well-designed. 24/7 professional monitoring, cost under $1 a day, less than half the cost of ADT's professional installed plans. Put it up yourself, install it yourself, do it in about half an hour. Don't miss the chance to save big and protect your home. Get 40% off your order at simplysafe.com/Adam. Do that today. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes. That is simplysafe.com/Adam. These guys are great sponsors and a great company, so support them. Simplysafe.com/Adam. There's no safe like Simply Safe. All right. Is Josie Davis here or is she not here yet?
She's parking.
Oh, she's parking. All right. So she's pulling up. She's a very attractive woman. You probably know her best from Charles in Charge.
Hell yeah.
Is Sarah Powell.
Saw a fascinating thing here on her bio about how she was one of 2 people out of 1,000 to get into the actor's studio. When they auditioned, 1,000 people wanted to get in. She was one of 2 who got in.
And
I want to know how that went. What was the audition like?
It says here the judges were Martin Landau and Shelley Winters.
Damn, powerhouse.
From back in the day. I also was informed by Emmy that I went on a date with her 25 years ago.
Excuse me?
I hadn't recalled that, but as I started to think about it, I was like, yes. And then a mutual name came into my head, and I started to scrape through the annals of my mind.
Are you such a Lothario that you can't keep track of the Rolodex?
No, it's for
Hollywood player Adam Carolla.
For me, it's mainly good old-fashioned low self-esteem. I generally think if there's a beautiful woman who was 23 years old at the time, there's no way she went on a date with me, and that's the math. I had this theory proven to some degree. Season 3 of the Man Show, we thought we should get hold of all of Adam's old girlfriends who dumped him and do a "How do you like me now" kind of thing. Because when they dumped me, I was driving a Isuzu Trooper and living in a house with 3 dudes and sleeping on a futon, and I was very dumpable. But now I'm up in the Hollywood Hills.
Moderately dumpable.
And I've gone from excessively dumpable to marginally or mildly dumpable. And so we went through the process of trying to contact those old girlfriends. And they were all like, he dumped me. And I was like,
what?
I didn't dump you. And they're like, yeah, You broke up with me.
This
and I
is
was
very
like,
high fidelity.
I broke up with you and then converted it into, of course, you dumped me. I think some of them were probably remembering it a little differently than I was, for sure. But it made me realize if you would have said to me, who's dumped you? I'd just go, everybody. and actually some who I've never dated.
That's right.
The unborn.
Pre-dumped.
Pre-dumped.
Aborted fetuses have dumped me. But I'm curious. We'll get into that discussion with Josie Davis and movie
Hopefully
coming
more.
up and more right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Ace Man, love the show. Heard you talking about unwashed dishes and roommate stunts. I had a roommate who, him and his girlfriend would never wash the dishes, and they kept piling up and piling up. So me, in true passive-aggressive fashion, I boxed up and put away all the dishes except for one bowl and one plate and one fork and one spoon for each person. So even if they didn't wash their dishes anymore, there wouldn't be that many piling up in the sink. Anyway, love the show, Ace Man. Keep it up.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Josie Davis is in studio. You know her best from Charles in Charge is the role of Sarah, but tons of films and tons of movies and a new project called Black Balsam that we'll talk about as well, though we don't have a date when it drops just yet. But good to see you again, Josie.
Yeah, thank you.
So I was informed that we went out on a date.
Yes, we had pie.
That checks out.
At Swingers.
This all tracks.
Wow.
Yes.
And I was 26, and you're like, are you 21? Because
well, you're 49 now, and you look like you're 28.
Oh my God!
I mean, it's crazy how young you look. So
Clean living.
Who says a girl's age? By the way, I'm like, really?
I shouldn't have said it, but I gotta tell it. Well, no. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. It used to just be a no-fly zone. You don't talk about age and a woman, and you don't talk about money with guys. But we're in a new world where, like, Elon Musk got $200 billion his net worth, and Bezos is, and women are doing a lot more. She's, J-Lo's 53 and crushing it. We're doing a lot of that now. So I think if you're crushing it, if you're the Elon Musk of looks.
I would say Josie
would not be me, but
if you look incredible at 49, then you can. Then
not
you can
say
own
it twice. That would be awesome. Thank you.
Combined, 98 years of age, the two 49s.
Okay, 3 times. Okay.
So
let's talk about
we went
pie.
to Swingers. That sounds like me. Sounds like pie.
Apple,
that sounds
maybe?
like me.
I don't know. Yeah.
Swingers sounds like me because that would have been on the way to Loveline.
On Beverly.
I think.
And it should sound like you because it was.
It was.
Either that or I'm a lunatic coming in here lying about it.
I was believing your story a little more. Like, that sounds right.
I must.
It was after Loveline. Did they tell you after Loveline with Drew?
Oh, it was
and
after Loveline.
Yeah, I did. That's how we met.
And
Drew and 90210, and then we went outside, and you were being all nervous, and she was like, "Just go," and you're like, "Oh," and then finally you're like, "Hey, do you want to go?"
Oh, I asked you out after Loveline.
Yes.
Oh.
I only remember. I just thought Drew. It was really funny because he's like, "Go," and you're like, "Oh," and. Actually, you couldn't do it that night. No, that's very common. I don't get asked out. So then I think you had to call my manager or something. Someone called me.
Wow, put a little effort in.
This is sounding
there. You know
very
what? Maybe if you saw the
like me.
I actually remember what I was wearing. I have a picture.
Oh, we do.
I was wearing. What I mean is, when I did the show.
So you did the show in 2000. This checks out. I was single in 2000.
Well, yeah, you were. Yeah, of course.
Well. Come on, what town are we living in, sister?
But not you.
Okay, not me.
And no self-respecting lady is going to go out for pie at 12:30 at night with some.
Oh, I'm
Joe
sure
Blow.
it wasn't that. No, it wasn't.
Can we establish the TV show Loveline or the radio show Loveline?
Radio.
The radio show.
Yeah, it's a late night.
Late night
and
parking
I've
lot.
seen Drew since then too, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. So you came on Loveline. You and I probably were getting along on Loveline.
Yeah, well, yeah, we didn't fight
it's our
or anything.
job.
Who does that, right?
Well, you're the host.
There's been certain
salty moments.
There's been certain guests. I mean, there've been British bands that have gotten up and walked out.
There have been bands that have locked them in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
With a grenade.
Exactly.
Well, how
Threatened
many
with a
times
grenade.
did you ask their age?
Oh, you're right.
Almost
Okay,
never.
technically,
Touche.
how many times did you ask them what they made? Or I should have said that.
So
This sounds like you.
You and I were getting along. Drew probably knew I was single. And by the way, you are Drew's type. I mean, you're most people's type. But what I'm saying,
Right.
or tell me if this rings true. If somebody is the other person's type, in your case, you're very much Drew's wheelhouse. Drew would then tend to push you and go,
like,
come
dude,
on.
what are you
look at-
missing?
Somebody's gotta
right,
try.
So
because-
basically, he pushed you to do it. You poor thing.
Well, you
I
said
feel
we're
so
out.
bad
You
for
He has
you.
no
You
confidence.
said we're out in the parking lot, and Drew
I could
was
hear- quietly
egging me
hear
on. Yes.
That guy has a funny smile on his face.
Worth it.
And that guy's got a great voice.
Yeah.
Sorry to distract. I just had to say that.
Drew was egging me on.
Yeah.
Because
But that's
he,
it. I mean,
but it's not that he didn't want to. It's that he was so, if I may speak for you, just so fucking horrible at this. And
Yes.
no confidence. Such a loser mindset.
we get it.
I wouldn't go
Painted the
worst.
picture.
Just feels like the fucking gum on the bottom of your shoe.
Yes, that was
Am I
me.
painting the picture?
And look at you.
And I said yes just to be nice.
That's
No, I'm kidding.
exactly.
I just, I'm
Exactly.
kidding. No.
All right, and you were on.
I was on 902 Beverly Hills 90210.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a
Or-
feather in the cap.
Was it after that? Like right, then I did his next.
So then I asked you out. But we didn't. It was 12 o'clock at night.
No, it wasn't late. Where'd you get the 12 o'clock? She was
That's when the
joking.
show
because
ends.
Loveline would have ended.
Oh,
at
she
that
probably
time.
came on an earlier segment.
Oh
and you
God!
walked
I just
out.
remembered you called. Do you want me to say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just remembered you would call at every break. And I thought it doesn't make sense to call me at every break because it's like 2 minutes long and then you call me again. I was like, well, okay, he's calling again.
Oh my God.
So you call me at every break and then I don't know.
Oh, so it was a call-in.
Kept calling. What?
No, she's making that up.
No, you called me when you were on a break.
Oh, I called you
To
when I
chat,
was on a
like-
break.
But the chat, I mean, it lasted like a minute or something. So I thought, well, why does he keep doing that? Isn't there a longer space of time at another time in life?
This is all very interesting.
I called you from the station. But I'd already asked you out.
Yeah, I guess we're.
Oh, and so that sounds bizarre. But
How do you not remember? Well, no, did you do that a lot?
starting.
I mean, I'm trying-
We clearly had her phone number.
No, the swingers part starting to come together. Pie definitely sounds like me. And then so we end
Yes, it
up
was.
going to swingers, which was sort of down the hill from where I lived at the time. I don't know where you were at the time, but somewhere in Hollywood, right?
Where'd I live?
I never made it to that front door.
Oh no.
Yeah, so.
You're like, are you 21? Because you felt kind of weird. Like, God, should I? I'm trying to think of where I live. I don't remember where I live.
So we went to swingers.
Oh, I know.
Really
I was
creepy.
Hollywood.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
you're right. It was Hollywood, actually. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we went to swingers, and we had pie,
Diner out here in LA. For
Yeah.
those who don't.
where they filmed the movie, right?
No,
That was a different place.
that was
That's the.
That was the 101.
Los
Cafe
Feliz.
101,
Yes,
wasn't
it was.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Cafe
right.
101.
That's right. That's
Similar,
the
but
101.
That's where they
extremely
used to
similar.
have it.
Same setup.
hipster
there.
diner.
Right. We went to Hipster Diner. We had pie, which doesn't feel too committal. You know what I mean? But it's above salad.
nice.
Yeah.
But it's below an entree
It was
Right.
nice.
in terms of commitment.
Yeah,
Right?
you're already at the end of the meal. It's dessert.
It's also playful.
Yeah.
It doesn't buy.
But I
Uh-huh.
was 21,
That's true.
21.
I was 26.
And then we talked about any recollection.
No.
Stimulating
Turn
conversation.
it
You're a
around.
great conversationalist, but I remember the pie.
And then we never went on a second date.
No.
Do you remember who did
Did
the
I
majority?
try to
think
go
you
on a
thought I
second
was-
date?
You were a little weirded out, kind of thinking I was 21, although that's legal. I mean, I don't know why. How old you were?
Because I like 14-year-olds. Oh, you guys thought I was
Are
going
you
to...
over for? Are
Oh,
you
you
21?
thought we were going
Like,
up?
Yeah.
Oh no, no, no,
sorry,
no. Look, I
misunderstood.
can go out with a 21-year-old. Eventually, they'll be 26. But
Right.
How old are you?
I'm 58.
Yeah, so I guess you felt a little weird.
I was younger at the time.
You were? Oh.
Yeah, I was like 53. This was like 22 years ago.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, but I would have been able to figure out your age, right? But you think it was the 21
but
thing.
maybe you thought it was, I don't care.
Well, if she was
a compliment.
in 90210, maybe you had that sort of like young high school, college.
I think it was the Charles in Charge thing.
Also,
No, it's because you thought I've always looked really young. Like when I was 9, like when we did the show, I was 12. I looked like a.
Well, we should find Chris. Go on the internet and find a picture of Josie at 21.
I sent you the one.
20 something.
I sent it, the leather pant, to Ben. Right,
and we can figure out what you. So
I sent him a few pictures for reference for different things.
So I never followed up with the second date.
No, that's fine.
Oh,
it was a mistake.
I wonder if you remember who did the majority of the talking.
Gina, please.
I can't believe I don't remember anything.
I bet I could take a guess.
Well, I was attacking the pie, though, Gina. So
I do remember what
in your story.
side I was sitting on, I think, in the pie. Yeah, something about the pie. I really like pie. I mean, it was good, so I really remember that.
This is great.
But you did most of the talking on the phone calls for the 1 minute and the 2 minute little breaks that you had.
Well, this has been great.
That went really fast. I was like, is he calling again? Like, why is he calling every break? It was cute. No, I thought it was very cute.
Did we
really? You were super excited.
Did we go out? So we must have gone out a night I was working until midnight.
I don't know.
Well, we don't have an email from you, by the way.
I sent. Did I? Oh, did I spell?
With whatever, but you can.
Carolla.
You can try.
No, 2 L's.
Yeah, listen, they just.
Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but CAR.
Was I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
What's
Here, I'm going to write it down for you.
Yeah, we'll write.
They do.
I'll just show it. Or no, you want to put it.
A number of articles were written recently about T.J. Miller coming in here and talking about stuff, and in most of the articles, it said Adam Carolla, C-O-R, and then underneath it was a clip of the show that said the Adam Carolla show spelled
correctly
with an A.
Yeah.
Which is,
a lot of people.
I don't know what's going on with journalism these days. It's pretty.
There's a real lack of copy editing. I've noticed a lot of grammatical spelling, and just like articles.
Yes.
Oh gosh,
it's very common.
Oh, okay.
You'll get it in a second.
So
I have a few different things to say. Okay.
Josie.
Yes, dear.
Let's get back to me.
Multitask.
No.
Yeah. I can do both.
Let's.
Here it is. Do you remember this?
Damn.
You looking hot in leather pants.
And like a pixie cut.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
With a pixie haircut.
Really short. That was.
Where are you from? How did this all begin?
I'm from here.
You're from here.
Mm-hmm.
What high school did you go to?
Well, I was being tutored, because of the show and everything. So I went 1 year to, now I do have to, how am I going to do this? Okay. I went to, hold on everybody, let me just send an email.
Yep, you're doing good.
I went to Burroughs and Burbank.
Burroughs.
For 1 year, just my senior year, because I wanted to be somewhat normal, hadn't experienced a normal.
Go to a prom, thing.
Oh, that part was not good.
Oh, really?
Oh, we have so much we want to hear.
No, I had such a cute guy to go to the prom with, and instead I went with my brother's friend.
Oh no!
Because I broke up with the guy right before.
Oh,
so stupid.
I remember that story while I was eating pie. That's what I'll do when I want to buy some pie eating time. I'll go, prom, go. And then I'll just start digging into the pie. I'll slide her plate across to my plate.
We shared a plate.
Oh!
Do we share? Oh, like
that's what I was thinking.
Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
Except for with meringue.
I think it might have been apple.
That sounds about me.
It was kind of with ice cream, I remember.
If you say a la mode, that'll work
that
too.
checks out.
Yeah. See, I've always said this when people want to avoid getting busted when they're cheating, get out of your pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had been with somebody at the time and then you said, what do you do? You suggested eating pie, then the person would go, but if you said you wanted to go raw vegan, then the person would go, that's not.
It wasn't him.
That was not him.
Well,
that's
now,
right.
Even though it's inappropriate, now might be a good time to tell her about your condom theory with the birthmark.
This is not a theory. This is
okay.
This is a real invention.
sending more pictures.
Condoms.
Oh, you have an invention.
Condoms.
Oh.
Condoms with a birthmark built into them for plausible deniability.
Printed onto the condom.
Printed onto the condom. Because later on, when the shakedown occurred and the Me Too went down, the first thing brought up in court is just like Michael Jackson. Remember?
Yeah, distinctive mark.
Yeah.
Looked like Florida. Right on top. Then you just pull your hog out. Ladies and gentlemen, that's
Fine,
right.
Florida.
Anybody?
I see no Florida.
Look all over.
Done. No jury in the land would convict you. You know?
How do you, so, boy, this sounds stupid. I feel like an airhead now.
No.
So the condom is for you. Like I would have, right?
With my condom.
He puts the condom on, and it has already printed on the condom a birthmark.
Exactly.
So when he pulls it off, he's like, "What birthmark?"
Oh, good. Okay, I thought I was missing something, but sounds
great idea.
good.
And later
How
on,
expensive is that though? And that's a big problem.
Oh,
but
How
extra
expensive is the lawsuit?
extra nickel of ink.
I guess
nickel,
it's
best
not.
nickel you'll ever spend.
It's the people that really can afford it that should really watch out the most, I would guess, because they're going from it.
Yeah, and then by the way, with that condom, you can't do the Drake hot sauce move in the trash. You got to flush that one.
What's the Drake hot sauce? What's Drake?
Are you familiar with Drake, the singer, the performer? His method for avoiding paternity situations is to take the spent used condom and pour a little hot sauce in there. And,
so no woman would ever want to retrieve what's inside the condom.
And by the way, it's just such an insult to a girl if a guy does some weird thing. Yeah. I've had that happen one time, and I just went, do you know, how do you not know that I'm not that kind of chick? Like,
I was so loaded on pie, I wasn't thinking straight. I had like
blueberry
I had a crust rush, a seasonal berry rush, and I was like out of my mind.
Your eyes were meringued over.
Grab the tapatio from the table.
What happened? Tell us that story. Somebody
I don't
hid
I
something
remember. was it flushed it down the toilet or rinsed it out first? I was like, really?
Yeah.
Because
your seed is
like
so,
I'm that, well, that's another point.
Yeah.
But I was like, do you really think I'm that kind of, like, that's horrible.
Did you have the conversation?
No.
Good.
I don't think you go back to that guy.
Later. I don't remember that. It's not like I went around doing that a lot at all. So
Yeah, I
think
get it.
Remember, but.
And if you did,
I might remember, but I don't know if that's the.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We have the pictures, but I still don't. All right. So.
La la.
Good heavens.
Those
vision.
And those were leather, and I don't buy leather anymore.
You're at the premiere of The Beach?
Yeah,
so I
red
saw a
carpet.
poster in the background.
Yeah.
No, are we vegan, vegetarian, off
I don't
of
know
leather?
about we, but I am not.
But you don't buy leather anymore.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Because animals. Because I love
Oh,
animals.
okay.
There's no need. I have the coolest shoes that are. I guess they're.
My feeling on.
But no, I do eat.
My leather pants theory is I don't even like animals, but I would never wear leather pants.
You don't like animals? I don't trust you.
I'm agnostic on them.
I do not trust
Maybe
anyone
this
that doesn't
is,
love animals.
He has a giant black Labrador.
Maybe
Have you
this is
seen
what
my son?
queered the deal over pie. You got a cat?
This was New Year's Day. Don't tell me this is
Your
not.
son?
I'm kidding.
He's a son in a fursuit.
Is this the sweetest thing?
Very cute.
Oh, just
good
loving
picture.
the sky.
I mean,
It's a nice picture.
Oh, sorry. Here. Yeah.
What's his name?
I mean, that's the way to enter the new year. Valentino. He is the coolest, sweetest.
All right, let's
at
talk
that
about
attitude.
something that's not visually oriented for the folks listening to the podcast.
I sent a bunch of pictures, though, that are kind of fun of different shows along the way and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you,
So you grew up out here,
yeah,
and
Universal City.
you knew, I didn't even know that people could live in Universal City.
Everyone's like, what is Universal City? And then Charles in Charge was across the street at Universal Studios, so it took 2 minutes to get to work, which is really weird.
Are you talking about just the base of the Hollywood Hills, like on that?
In the hills, yeah, right there.
That's considered Universal City?
And what age were you when you landed the Charles in Charge job?
12.
Oh, wow.
And I had 3, sorry. Oh, it's like hurting my ear. I had 3 national commercials running at the time. It was nuts. I was like on fire at the time, like the little tomboy girl.
And so you're making money. Is it, you have a show busy family? Was somebody out
It
there
was.
pushing?
Yeah.
Your mom is
Dad.
managing you, Dad?
Dad, yeah.
Is it, were they in show business or wanted to be?
Yes, they were.
In what way?
Shall I elaborate?
Please.
Yes.
It's funny, actually, you're saying that. When I grew up, my dad was like, when you do interviews, don't just say yes or no. Wow. Talk. I'm like, okay. Now I talk too much. Except on our date. You do all the talking. No. Let's see, where was I?
What did your parents do?
I have no memory. My dad was an actor and a photographer and a drummer, and my mom was an actress and a model, mainly big, like runway model, ridiculous looking. And then my dad married her and had the kids, so she kind of gave that up. And my brother was doing TV shows at the time, and that's when he said, Josie, do you want to do that? And I was 3, and I just went, I guess I should say yes.
What was your brother on? Was he like guest starring on random?
He was guest starring on some show called actually I don't know the name of it at the moment, but there was something about drugs and it just bothered me and it was like super dramatic and I'm like, yeah, okay. Sure, I want to do it.
How about something with a live studio audience?
Let's do that. Oh God, I was so scared the pilot.
Yeah.
12 years old, never acted before, just did commercials.
Big crush on young Scott Baio.
Oh, everybody did.
Everyone had a crush on Chachi.
Man, woman, and child did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a man.
No, nothing on Willie Ames?
I don't. One guest star, I think, did because she married him.
Oh.
At least one.
That counts.
Yeah. He was really nice. We saw each other recently.
What the heck's Willie Ames working on these days? Is he out there? Is he doing stuff? He was big because he did Charles in Charge, but before that he did 8 is Enough, or what else? He did. Yeah. He was in some other big sitcom before Charles in Charge.
That I don't remember, but when I was a teenager, I auditioned for him, so I think he started directing at some point.
I haven't asked him all this stuff. We kind of had a reunion for Christmas.
Oh, really?
Was it last year? I think it was last year. Yeah, I think it was last year.
And
we had like a little reunion. I didn't send that picture. I have that picture too. If we did the Christmas parade.
Oh, right. The Hollywood Christmas parade.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Willie
That was nice to
Ames.
see them, and Ellen was there.
So we did. We'll figure out what's.
He gets started on the Waltons.
No, I thought he did something before, but maybe I'm wrong. Could be mixing my guys up. All right. Well, let's talk about in our remaining few minutes here. Black Balsam.
Oh yeah. Well, that we can mention a couple of things. Yeah, they haven't quite. They've had offers. They haven't sold it yet. They're taking a long time. So that's that. So I don't know when that's coming. But the actors were really fantastic. The acting's really good.
What's the
It's
story?
a thriller.
It's a thriller.
It's a thriller. It's super cool. It's really scary. But then I just did a commercial with a huge Academy Award winning actor that I cannot mention. So I can't even tell you what it's about. But it was huge production, so exciting, and I'm a newscaster. And
is it going to be Super
I don't
Bowl?
even know
That
what
was
I
my
can say.
question,
I can't say anything. I don't know. And then
Super
Will it come
Bowl?
out in
my
January,
next
February?
movie is.
Yeah, you might
I
see
don't
it.
know. Maybe soon. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And then the next job is a horror film with, here are the names, Michael J. White and James Remar.
Nice.
Who's James? Remar?
You know, James Remar is a very recognizable character.
And Michael
actor.
Jai White, is it?
Michael.
Jai?
Oh, I said Jay White. Sorry, is it Jai?
Yeah.
I think it's
Jay,
Jai.
because it's J-A-I.
Yeah,
it's still the initial.
Sorry, Michael.
Good enough. Yeah, you can do the initial.
Love James Remar.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, you know exactly who he is. He's been in everything.
He's in Francis
that
Ford
guy.
Coppola's next movie, which is like, oh my God, that's killer.
Oh, and Willie Ames, you may have been thinking of Swiss Family Robinson.
I did. That was when
She's fast.
I saw Swiss Family Robinson in the theaters when I was a kid, and I was like, that's the life. You get to live in a tree, have a pet monkey.
Yeah.
Your dad's super handy. It was quite a dream for me. I grew up in North Hollywood, so.
Oh my God, oh my God. Actually, you went to school with my brother. I don't think you're going to remember all this, but yeah, I'm thinking football team, something football.
North Hollywood High?
I can't remember everything.
When did your brother was older?
Yeah, a lot older.
Your brother went to North Hollywood High.
He went to a few places.
What's his name?
He was I don't want to say his name.
Why?
It's probably a public record.
Sorry. No, I know.
Gina, go find his name on the computer.
But anyway, something about yeah, football. I guess you were on the team or something.
I was on the football team.
Yeah,
he was the team.
I
He was the quarterback.
It was all covered while we were eating pie, I'm sure.
And that was
all Central Valley, babe.
Yeah, I saw you had Nick Cage on this show, and we worked together one time.
Yeah, is that the guy that flushed a condom? Oh, you said you worked together.
He directed. Yeah, it was his directorial
I thought you said you
debut.
worked together.
This movie Sunny that we did together with James Franco. It was Nick's directorial debut.
How was it?
Wow. You've got to see it. It's wild. It's a wild movie. Yeah.
Sunny.
He plays Acid Yellow.
I can only imagine.
And we shot it in New Orleans. It was Franco's like one of his few movies after James Dean, and it's a wild movie.
Wow.
Well,
he plays a prostitute.
We'll find that, and then we'll also look out for Black Balsam.
And then the new one, you're gonna laugh. It's called Glowsies.
The new horror movie when that comes out.
I'm playing a scientist,
and possibly a big Super Bowl spot
or a big commercial.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they would have told us it was Super Bowl.
No.
So I don't think it is, but it's a huge production.
They don't always tell.
Killer. Oh, they don't?
My wife made a Super Bowl commercial a few years ago for a company.
Wow.
And,
She's a marketing exec. They don't always tell people.
Sometimes on the down low, sometimes probably play it a little close to the vest. So
that would actually make sense, and it's got a huge message, like spiritual message. It's pretty. Yeah,
I've found
awesome.
with Hollywood. There's a sort of nothing in it for you or nothing in it for them kind of mentality. Like when we used to do Loveline, when it was on MTV, I'd always go, and man show stuff too. They have a date. And they go, they got to tell you whether they pick it up by September 22nd, and it'd be like September 1st, and the last season was successful. And I'd go,
of course they know.
Are they going to pick it up? Because I'm trying to make my plans of travel. And
I got to eat pie.
We'll tell you on the 23rd. That's just that. And in the end, the answer is like no danger in telling you, but what's in it for them? And the answer is nothing. So that's it. A little goodwill, but they don't.
What do they care?
They don't care about that. All right, let me hit blinds galore here. First place to buy custom blind shades, shutters, drapes, family owned and run for 20 years plus. I think it's more like 24 years. Mother-daughter duo, over 2 million windows covered, and you can do it all right from your home. Just take the measurements, customize it online. They have a build-a-tool app, and it lets you see exactly how the blinds and shades are going to look on your screen before you buy. So you just do it all from your computer. Save a ton compared to big box stores. Designer look without the designer price. And fall's here. Winter's around the corner. So why wait for the cold to creep into your home? Insulate those windows with cellular shades and drapery. Only blindsgalore.com. Even shades that connect to your smartphone or your Alexa, so you can control them. You don't have to hardwire them. You just charge them up like your phone, and they'll work 1,000 times. It's Blinds Galore, right, Dawson?
Blindsgalore.com makes it easy to get the safe, high-quality designer blinds and shades you've always wanted in your home, all at a great price. All up to 45% off. See for yourself at blindsgalore.com today and let them know that Adam sent you. That's blindsgalore.com.
Well, wow. Josie, it's been a long time.
He is good.
But come back when Black Balsam comes out, whenever that is.
Thank you, yes. And I'm going to try and do a podcast that's not like this. I already have one that was just horrible because my microphone was awful and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. They're going to help me here with it. So look for that.
Great.
We'll look for
and
that.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to start the dancing and singing.
Twitter, Instagram, and Instagram.
I only have a love advice thing right now.
Oh.
At
Great.
Josie Davis.
Dating. I'm sorry. I'm talking over you.
I'm plugging you.
Oh, sorry. Josie
Twitter.
Davis Instagram. Go ahead.
Yeah. And Instagram at Josie Davis. All right, Robert Davi, who will never be mistaken for Josie Davis.
I've worked with him too, by the way. My God.
What'd you work on with him?
A guest star on. Wait. Let's look it up.
It was my fault
I've
for
worked
asking.
because I've worked with.
The answer coming up after the break.
The answer
do?
coming up after this.
The Adam Carolla Show presents Robert Davi's birthday cocktail party for June 26th. Let's see who's invited. Let's welcome American Union Army General and the inventor of the cable cars in San Francisco, Abner Doubleday. Organized crime chief, Paul Castellano. We welcome fellow crooner, Chris Isaac. From Scandal, John McEnroe's wife, Patti Smith. The singer from Berlin, Terry Nunn, is here. Pro Football Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp joined the party. Chris O'Donnell is here. So is Nick Offerman, Derek Jeter, Michael Vick, Aubrey Plaza, Ariana Grande, and Dutch-born talent manager, the man so awfully portrayed by Tom Hanks, Elvis's frontman, Colonel Tom Parker. Robert Davi is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Well, actor Robert Davi, he's been in Goonies, Die Hard, Showgirls, License to Kill, Predator 2, Expendables 3, and one of my favorites, Action Jackson. You remember that one from back in the day?
I wasn't allowed to watch that as a kid.
Good. Of course I remember that.
Good to see you again, Robert Davi. Also,
Great to see you, Adam.
If you love some Frank Sinatra, you should definitely check out Robert and his music. He has played the San Gennaro Feast, I believe, on way more than one occasion, and is a world-class crooner. So congratulations.
I've headlined the Venetian in Vegas, and I did the last shows with Don Rickles, where he was walking at the Orleans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the last 3 shows, he said, I want to do a show with you. And he got ill a year earlier. And when he finally got better, it was the last show. After that, the last show was on a Sunday night. He went into the hospital on a Monday morning, and he was suffering through because he had respected, you know, my ability there is that, and having done my first film with Sinatra, so there was that connection. But it was quite an experience. Don was a wonderful person.
He had dates on the calendar to the very end, right? I mean...
Yes. Whoa. He was doing them from a chair. The shows we did were the last ones he was standing up at him and walking and doing Yankee Doodle Dandy. And then he then changed things when he got a little more addled and just did it from a chair.
Was he 93, 94 or something? Something in there?
He was up there. I'm not sure what his age
did he mentally, verbally, did he miss a beat, or was he still as sharp as ever at the very end?
Unbelievable. Not only that, but you know how he's able to go into the audience and just tear somebody apart with humor. And you know, in this woke generation, it would be an amazing experience. I wish he was still around, so he could have a performance of just a woke audience of 2,000 people and see what would happen.
Well, if he was still around, the headlines would be, Don Rickles kills himself at 106 after performing at Berkeley.
He didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a beat.
Well, it does kind of, I mean, I have this theory. I don't know if you subscribe to it, but it's sort of like if you just commit to doing 50 push-ups every day, you'll sort of never be decrepit. You know what I mean? And if Don Rickles is going to perform every night, when does he have time to get old?
There's a floor.
Yeah, like his brain is working out like a gymnast every single day. Where does he, when is the fall off? Like what day does that happen? Yeah. He just performs until he dies. All right, your new project, My Son Hunter, it's available to stream now and download at mysonhunter.com.
Also on DVD now.
Also,
you can get it on DVD, yes.
Also on DVD. It's a pretty incredible story, the whole Hunter Biden thing, and the laptop and Biden and foreign business deals. To me, the story of the corrupt politician helping his son make money in businesses his son has no business being a part of, and then skimming some off the top is kind of as old as time. The story that's the real story here, that's the breaking story, because politicians have been helping, doing nepotism with their sons forever. The breaking news on this is the media covering for the politician and FBI and CIA and Twitter and the big platforms, Facebook. It's them covering for the politician, the people who are traditionally blowing the whistles on that politician. And that, to me, is kind of the story of this time we're living in. But you tell me what your take is.
Absolutely. I mean, the film, I did it as a middle finger to the established media, mainstream television and Twitter and the rest of them, because exactly what you said, whereby we found several years, whether you like them or not, of the the collusion of Donald Trump and Russia, which they pushed, and they buried this story. And even Rudy Giuliani, I talked to him recently, and he told me that when the FBI raided his office and got all the information, of which they found nothing, he said, "What about these two laptops over here on this table?" He goes, "Well, what are they?" They said. He says, "Well, those are Hunter Biden's laptops." And he said the FBI went like, "Oh, no, we don't want those." So the collusion of this cover-up, and at the end of the film, we have this whole valley of everybody denying the story, and then finally it turns around when the New York Times and finally admits that it happened, and then the Washington Post, and people like Miranda Devine and Peter Schweitzer, who exposed this story from early on, and many others.
Well, here's just let me jump in. If you guys would like to know what's going to happen, then you can get on. There's a couple of reporters, like Alex Berenson was on COVID. And so if you wanted to know where COVID was going, just listen to the guy who's banned from Twitter for talking about COVID, and then you'll know 6 months in advance where COVID is going, because he's getting all the data out of Israel and Australia, and he's collating it, and he's pushing it out there, and then the big tech platforms are canceling him. If you wanted to know what was going on with Hunter Biden and his laptop, then you could just listen to Miranda Devine 2 years ago, and she would be on it. Now, eventually, the truth sort of trickles out, and other news platforms will catch up. But these reporters, Schweitzer and Miranda Devine, were all over this early, but the only places they popped up was Fox, and then so everyone said, well, they're just a mouthpiece for the Republicans or whatever it is. You can be both, though. I've said it a million times. You can be on this side or that side, but you can still be right.
You could still tell the truth. You could still, it's interesting that they have this, they almost get a rash when you want to bring this thing up. And even to today, people talk about, well, Hunter Biden, the tax thing and the gun incident. And, did he really? And I find that so absurd, because it's, imagine the biggest bank heist in the history of time. And as the van is going away with a couple of $1 billion in the back of the van, they get stopped by the police for a busted taillight. And that's the ticket that they give them. Oh, your taillight's off. Meanwhile, you've got all this other corruption in that van. It's they still won't. It's quite startling.
Well, it's an interesting. It's kind of fortuitous for Joe Biden, for President Biden, because his son was traveling the world, going to the worst places on the planet with the most corrupt governments in the world, dealing in the sectors of like energy. It was all the stuff we hate. It was all the Ukraines and the Russias and the Chinas, and it was all big petroleum things and stuff like that. And he's traveling with his dad. He's flying Air Force Two. The guy he never talked business with. Remember, he never talked business with his son, except for they're heading out to Ukraine or China or whatever to do business deals. He's named as the big guy. They're putting down 10% for Biden. So President Biden is getting paid.
Wasn't that Pedo Pete, or what do they call?
But I think his daughter calls him that. But here's the good news. The good news is your son is also a world-class junkie. So when the softball interview takes place from, CNN or MSNBC, ABC, whatever, they have to bring it up. So they go, what about your son? Sure, he's had problems with drugs, but he's overcome that. He's the smartest guy I know, and I love him very much. And they go, okay, next question. We covered the son conversation. What about, we heard he had a gun that he threw in a dumpster? Yeah, well, he was going through a troubled time, and he made some bad decisions, as people do. Well, there was an issue with the IRS. Yeah, everyone I know has owed money to the IRS at some point. All of Hollywood has had to cut a check or gotten some hot water or whatever it is. And then they go, okay, well, we've covered the Hunter Biden aspect of this. No, the story is you, Joe, getting money from him from corrupt governments. Yes. But they get to cover their bases and move on, and you get to say, my son was a junkie, but I love him very much, and thank God he's recovered.
Yeah.
That's the real story of this time. It's the news outlets.
Yes. And the idea that he dealt with the communist spy chief of China. So you mean to tell me, and as you brought up, you're with your dad on a plane to China, and you get off the plane and you go meet with these people, these high echelon people, as you're hitting the crack pipe every 15 minutes, by the way, and you get back on the plane and you sit back for the long journey home and you don't say, son, how'd the meetings go? Who'd you meet with? You don't talk about that?
Listen,
there was no...
he said, I've never... by the way, his brother's doing it too. Joe Biden's brother's doing it too. So his brother and his son are both meeting people that can do things for them financially because of Joe Biden. Joe's never had a discussion with either one of them about it, which is technically impossible. But what I've said is if your son owned a yogurt shop in Pasadena, you would have conversations with him about his business.
How's the yogurt business?
That's how fathers and sons in business works. You would discuss. How's it going? What are the popular flavors?
Not your dad.
Not my dad.
An average dad.
But yes, it's absurd. But the part that Americans should be concerned about is not really Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. They should be concerned about the FBI, CIA, the media, and then big tech vetting things for us. Because they're
another interesting part of the story that's in the film that I put in as I was researching was Devon Archer. Now, Devon Archer, there were two texts between Devon Archer and Hunter Biden, and in the text from Devon to Hunter, Devon is saying to Hunter Biden, he's going, and I dramatize it. It's not on the text, but they're talking to each other like Michael Corleone and talking to Santino at a dinner. But he says, what's going on? Your family isn't protecting me. Your father's people are not protecting me. They came to my house, man. My kids are worried. What's going on, Hunt? You said I'd have protection, basically. And you know what? Some of these Asians, they're getting in my head. What do I say to them? And then Hunter gives him a huge speech. You are part of a great family. Every great family has people that are coming after them. This is the thing of a great family. And he goes on about the speech, and you have to stay the course. And then he's basically telling him, keep your mouth shut, and we'll take care of you down the line. And the same thing with Tony Bobulinski. But meanwhile, the FBI and the media and the rest of them. And you know what? I blame our congressmen and our senators, because even on the right, these guys are brain dead half the time. We got some good guys. But you mean to tell me there's not enough people? We got half here and half here. These guys can't create a little bit of a hornet's nest? They can't be a little more upset about what's going on in our country?
Well, Bobulinski, who's an interesting guy, sat down with Tucker for a long-form interview. The thing that's interesting about Bobulinski is, so he's Hunter's business partner, and he's got all the receipts. He's a very sober guy. He's a military guy, and he's just spouting out dates and times and percentages, and he's got his emails, and he's like, I met with Joe Biden. We met in Beverly Hills. Hunter was with us. 10% for the big guy. The big guy's Joe Biden. He lays it all out. Nobody in the mainstream media wants to do an interview with Tony Bobulinski, which I find bizarre, because this guy is the partner of a guy who's about to become the president of the United States. And LA Times not interested in sitting down with this guy who has all the receipts, all the golfing pictures, he's got everything. He was the business partner. There's a lot of allegations of corruption. No interviews.
A lot of time.
Do you know who owns the LA Times, by the way?
Oh, God. We got into that already.
One of Joe Biden's best friends.
Oh, well, okay. So there's that. Then the FBI sits down with Bobulinski, because they have to have some veil of due diligence. Okay. They have to create some paper trail. They sit down, they do a cursory interview with him, and then they explain to his lawyer, we're going to get back with our head guy. The head guy was the guy who just quit. Oh God, I think Chris will figure out the FBI guy got transferred, and then he quit.
Not Christopher Wray.
Not Christopher Wray. We'll figure it out. Anyway, never followed up. Never came back. Never did a second interview with him. That's the story of this. Oh no, that was Tim Tebow, not that Tim Tebow.
No, not the football
Tim
player.
Tebow?
Yeah,
the FBI guy.
FBI, one of the head guys who.
Yes, Tim something.
Tim Tebow, even though it's spelled weirdly, it's just pronounced that way.
Tebow.
Yeah, he just. You can get the FBI Tim Tebow story, but anyway, he got transferred. He was in charge of the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping thing, I think, which turned out to be a debacle. And then he went and talked to, or never was in the room with Tony Bobulinski, and that never followed up, and then quit. And they've never really gotten into that. But nobody wants to. By the way, Bobulinski will come on this show. I'm working on it. Nobody else is
having him on.
No one else has him on. Like,
why doesn't 60 Minutes have him on? I mean,
60 Minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, why doesn't 60 Minutes have him?
Yeah.
See,
Imagine Tony Bobulinski on The View with Joy Behar.
Oh my God. This is the thing. The thing is this. This is the scary New World Order part. You've always had your Foxes and your Sean Hannitys over here, and then you've got your Rachel Maddows over there. But we were under the illusion that the 60 Minutes weren't there or there. They're just riding it down the middle.
They're just busting Philip Morris.
They're just giving news, you know what I mean? And maybe back in the day, the New York Times, the LA Times, USA Today, whatever, these ABC, we're just riding it down the middle. So I get why Rachel Maddow doesn't want to talk to Tony Bobulinski.
Right.
But where's everyone else? Well, the people that we thought were riding down the middle aren't riding down the middle. That's why they're not talking to. He's Tim Tebow. He pronounces it that way. That's spelled Thibault. Top-level FBI agent, and he resigned in August. He was under fire for his role in the investigation regarding Hunter.
Probably
so
best
they were
resign.
slow rolling that. But you bring up 60 Minutes, you can find Leslie Stahl talking to Trump about Hunter Biden's laptop, and he's bringing it up, and she's like, we can't, no. She shut it
They
down.
make a U-turn. They shut it down. And you know what's very interesting also? Listen to this one. Now, we're in Serbia. In end of September, I go to Serbia. We filmed the movie in Belgrade, and because we needed Ukraine and some exotic locations. So I'm at the hotel, upscale hotel. It's a famous hotel thing. And the staff, because of, the various films and stuff, felt comfortable with me, knew me. They said, hey, do you know who was here last month? I go, no. Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was here? Yeah, at this hotel. He stayed here for several weeks. And I thought, what did Hunter Biden do in Serbia now? Now, Serbia is an interesting place. It's right across the border from Hungary. Then you have the new ambassador to Serbia was put in by Joe Biden just around that time. They took Trump's guy out and they put this ex-Clinton guy back in. And the Serbs weren't very happy, many of them, because it was a Clinton ambassador that they put in to Serbia. Now we're filming, and all of a sudden the Northern Irish producer, Philip McAleer from Unreported Story Society, who produced this, Breitbart's distributing it, but they produced it. He comes to me and goes, Robert, there's a Hunter Biden lawyers here. What they have is they're doing a documentary, and these guys are good guys. They were from South Park, and they're a bunch of good guys. Kevin Morrison. They flew a private plane, and they're here, and they want to just interview. I said, I don't want anybody on the set, Philip, to cut to the story short anyway. But they came with cameras, doing a documentary on Hunter Biden. Who knows? I says, why are we giving them access? Anyway, the actors, after a few drinks, sat down and spoke to them. Now we've finished the film. It's edited back in April. Get a call from Phil. You won't believe it. What? He goes, the guys that came to the set took a private plane. Yeah. He goes, that's Hunter Biden's lawyer. He gave him $2 million to get out of his tax problem. Now, I mean, they weren't doing a documentary. What were they doing there? What did they come to Serbia for? On the false pretense. It's very intriguing.
There's a basic math, which is Hunter Biden doesn't know anything about international energy production.
You'd think he'd curtailed international business after all this.
So
neither does his father, by the way.
Right, but whether he knows it first off, news outlets, you can do a little math. This kid is globetrotting, doing big deals about businesses he's not familiar with, and he's a junkie. Do you think it has something to do with his dad being who his dad is?
Jury's out.
Worth asking.
Or what else could it be? Or if not, then I have a new set of dreams for my son. You, son, must travel the world, cutting huge multi-million-dollar deals with amazing...
Racing exotic cars around the world.
And working on energy.
Or
whatever you don't
know nothing about.
Whatever you don't
There's
know
no
about.
influence peddling. There's no influence peddling going on there.
Can you find that 60 Minutes Leslie Stahl thing? It'll all make you laugh now in retrospect, but the point is the real concern here should be FBI and news, not Joe. Joe's doing what Joe does, and Hunter's doing what Hunter does, and everyone's, for time immemorial, has been doing that. That's not the story. The story is the news. And the suppression part of it. Like
the suppression is so that we tell the story through the eyes of a 25-year-old left-wing activist who's an exotic dancer. And she doesn't know, she meets Hunter at a strip joint, of course. And then they have to move to the Chateau Marmont. There's a whole circumstance that happens. And she now, at a certain point, it's the night that the laptop is exposed and Joe Biden sends Secret Service in to find his son. And she then realizes when he meets with the father, she sees them meet, who he is. Then she goes to the internet and starts looking for information on Joe Biden. And she can't find anything. And yet there's a bouncer there. I cast a Nigerian footballer, great face. And he's the one that has to say to him, oh, kid, you can't find it there. You have to go to alternative search engines. Mainstream media is burying this story.
Wait, let me correct you. Is she looking for Joe Biden or Hunter Biden info?
Hunter Biden
info,
Joe Biden info,
yes.
And about the laptop. Yeah, she's just overall, because he confesses to her what happened. You know what I mean? Now she wants to understand what the issue is. But she can't find information on the laptop or anything. But it does show up. But this guy who he calls himself, yeah, Kitty. She goes, how did you find this? Yeah, Kitty, I'm the black face of white supremacy. And he then leads her to these sites where then we start to uncover, as Hunter is telling the story. But it's mind-boggling, as you know, Adam. And I don't know how we get out of this ditch.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happens. What happens is the group that decided to tack toward this direction has then created other entities. Twitter can only suppress so much before other platforms pop up. And that's really the new era that we're living in. Just there's other platforms, other alternatives popping up. We have the Leslie Stahl audio with her doing, what year was it? And she was sitting down with Trump on 60 Minutes, Max Zapata, during an interview where he was bringing up Trump, poor Trump. You never hear poor in front of Trump.
Rarely.
But Trump was like, there's a laptop. It's filled with damning shit. You guys have it. And everyone's going, it doesn't exist.
Move on.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your sons. And it's like,
so
he's going insane. What year?
I'm still looking that up.
Well, 60 Minutes interview, Donald Trump.
It gets reposted a lot. So I'm saying
but just when did he do the first one or whatever? It doesn't have to be this clip.
If it was talking about the laptop, would have been
October of 2020.
Yeah. October 2020. All right, here we go.
Do you have? And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking.
He's
of course
not.
he is,
No.
Leslie.
No. Come on.
Of course he is. It's the biggest, second biggest scandal.
So,
the biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
Well, there's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? This is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie. And you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that.
Okay.
Oh, that was spying campaign. I thought it was all laptop talk.
How does that not enrage the American people? Well, Are we taking fentanyl
Well,
in
the
the
thing
water?
that was interesting, if you listen to the first 10 seconds, and Chris will play it again, he just went, there's a scandal on her side. She goes, no. It was like it was like a mom answered the door. Your son threw a baseball through the net. No. Timmy
Don't
would
go
never.
there.
He
Don't
would never
go
do
there.
I
that.
think what you might be talking about is the debates.
Oh, maybe
I
it's
feel
the
like
debates I was thinking of.
Yeah, they shut that down.
But we'll play the beginning. This is funny.
And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking.
He's not.
Of course he is,
No.
Leslie.
Come on.
Of course he is. It's the biggest, second biggest scandal.
All right.
So-
The biggest scandal.
It's like saying he's having an affair with my wife. He's not.
You can also find just recently when I was talking about Biden, when he sits down with, I think it was Jake Tapper, and he asked him about Hunter, because they have to, and he just goes, this guy had some problems, but I love him. And then whoever's doing the interview, again, the problem isn't Joe Biden. Joe Biden is doing what anybody would do. It's Jake Tapper who's not going, I'm not talking about drugs.
No, this is
we're talking about something else.
Also the American people. Because if the American people, I can't believe that when you find out and you kind of open up the onion and you see what's there or what's not there, it's got to drive you crazy. I mean, here's Trump going. His hair probably wanted to burst on fire. I mean, they didn't spy on his campaign. Now, how do you go back to Leslie Stahl and have another 60 Minutes review with Trump saying, you lied, Leslie? You covered up the story. How do you, and it just is astounding to me. And people get mad at this guy's tweets.
We're living in a crazy world, but the crazy world is the news, not, Trump's Trump and Biden's Biden. It's the news. Like, when she goes, come on, this is 60 Minutes. It's like, this used to be 60 Minutes. It's not anymore. It's not. And that's the sad part.
This is very Citizen Kane.
It's interesting. In big tech, it's very interesting. They took the story down, and then they were like, we made a mistake, but we shouldn't have done it. But then they were like, I guess it was it Washington, New York Post, maybe, where the initial story was, and then they took it down, and then they said we'll reinstate it if X, Y, or Z. Like, it is very Orwellian. I have that Tapper audio. Right. So the only way to get to anything now, in terms of doing an interview with any politician, it's going to have to be the third time around. You can't just ask the one question. You'll get this sort of brush off answer. You have to
circle back.
You have to kind of do what I did with Gavin Newsom. You have to kind of uncomfortably go back thousands of times. We'll play that.
Our reporting, CNN's reporting, and the Washington Post reporting suggests that prosecutors think they have enough to charge your son Hunter for tax crimes and a false statement about a gun purchase. Personally and politically, how do you react to that?
Well, first of all, I'm proud of my son. This is a kid who got, not a kid, he's a grown man. He got hooked on, like many families have had happen, hooked on drugs. He's overcome that. He's established a new life. He is, I'm confident that what he says and does are consistent with what happens. For example, he wrote a book about his problems and was straightforward about it. I'm proud of him. He came along and said, by the way, this thing about a gun, I didn't know anything about it, but turns out that when he made an application to purchase a gun, what happened was I guess you get asked, you get asked the question, are you on drugs, you use drugs? He said no. And he wrote about saying no in his book. So I have great confidence in my son. I love him, and he's on the straight and narrow, and he has been for a couple of years now, and I'm just so proud of him.
Good answer, though. Yeah. As a politician, he did what I'm sure his handlers told him to do.
Well,
exactly.
I framed, when people ask me about the film, I didn't want to be a bashing about the addiction. Look, every family's had addiction in their family. I've had an ex who had a very bad addiction. I had a kid. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. So I was sensitive to that. And I've done multiple interviews telling about that. And I also mentioned that to those lawyers that came to visit the set. I says, I'm not here to demonize his addiction. I'm going to show it, like The Wolf of Wall Street or American Hustle, the kind of vibe of the film. I says, but I'm not going to demonize that aspect of it. And so I'm sure that they're now, the mainstream media, because this film had a lot of attention, and they're let's get him on the drug because it'll be sympathetic. He can be the sympathetic father my son had, and totally, again, sidestep, like what you said earlier, Adam. This is what they ask, and we've covered that now. Now let's move on to Don Trump
by
Jr.
the way, his son did drugs is well documented. No interviewer.
The guy said he smoked Parmesan cheese.
I know. In 2022, Jake Tapper doesn't go, your son, I heard he smoked a marijuana cigarette in high school.
He'll be the first to tell you.
No, what we need, Chris, actually, is does Tapper follow up? Does he? Because the real crime is, I've asked him this question. He told me how much he loved his son, which most parents, I don't know if my dad, if Jake Tapper ever pressed my dad, if he would say that, he'd say, Adam's fair to middling.
Never had any charm or charisma.
But he answered the question by saying, I love my son, and he's overcome adversity. What Jake needs to do is go, I love my son. Now, the question was we'll see if Chris can find that. Also,
sorry, you're absolutely right, because like I commented already, Biden said exactly what he was supposed to say. Biden did an amazing job answering that question. Now it's back in the interviewer's court to get the rest of it.
Yes, I concur. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll let Chris find that. Let me read a spot here for concrete. Oh, man, your body makes half the creatine it needs. The other half comes from your diet. But most American diets, surprise, surprise, are low in creatine-rich foods. Concrete, patented creatine, HCl is the favorite creatine of elite, well-informed athletes, the #1 bioavailable creatine and the only microdosing creatine. Just one small scoop per 100 pounds of your body weight. Has got a nice lemony flavor to it. Shake it up with some water. Gives you you feel immediate burst of energy. Try it and shoot me a tweet on it. I bet you'll love it. Creatine is required for functional energy in every cell. Your brain makes about uses about 20% of the creatine in your body. Your immune cells need it. Your whole body needs it. So get some concrete. Am I right, Dawson?
Take control of your health, both body and mind. Build a better you with Concrete. Register now at con-crete.com/podcast. That's con-cret.com/podcast for a chance to win a $500 Walmart Visa gift card available now online and in-store at Walmart. Concrete is truly life-changing and performance enhancing.
So all we needed, Chris, about the last 15 seconds of his answer, and then we'll see what Jake Tapper
about the
follows
last
up
8
with.
seconds of the answer. So
okay.
And he's on a straight and narrow, and he has been for a couple of years now, and I'm just so proud of him.
You're about to turn 80 next month. Happy birthday ahead of time.
All right, now I got to listen to the whole fucking thing again. This is the problem. Now, I get Jake Tapper. He wants to do another interview with Biden at some point, and he's not going to get it. But now I want to hear the whole thing in its entirety. Happy birthday. All right. Well, we've covered. And as I scream all the time, we get to go. Oh, no, I covered. Yeah. I brought up the whole Hunter Biden thing. Ask him. Why don't we take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll listen to that thing in its entirety right after this.
Let's do a quick Weinstein update. Jury selection began this week in Harvey Weinstein's Los Angeles trial. The disgraced producer, who's already serving 23 years in prison in New York, faces 11 more charges of sexual assault. Jury selection is expected to take about 2 weeks, and 5 alleged victims are expected to take the stand during the trial. One of them Jennifer Siebel Newsom, the wife of California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Oh, not wife. She's like a
partner.
First partner
I'm gonna
or some other
hold
fucking
on.
nonsense.
It's a title that I can't wait to share. So she says Weinstein sexually assaulted her at a business meeting that turned out to be a trap more than 17 years ago. If convicted, Weinstein could face 140 more years behind bars. I did go to her IMDb. Siebel Newsom describes herself as a filmmaker, advocate, thought leader, and first partner of California.
Right. Yeah, it's so sad that if I hear you're an advocate now, I immediately know you're a wild douchebag who I would never want to hang out with. Advocate used to be something. Yeah. Now you're a homeless advocate. Okay, first off, assaulted her. We got to get these terms figured out. A business meeting, he assaulted her. What is that?
We'll find out.
What does that mean?
Well, he has a pattern. I imagine it probably fit with the
came up to the room, answered the door in the bathroom.
Jerked off into a ficus.
Wow.
Only guess.
Yeah.
So did he have sex with her?
I imagine that'll come out if she's giving a witness statement.
You see footage of him with his walker.
Oh boy, and that
being
fakakta collar,
led in and out of the courtroom.
Well, his lawyer said, these are medieval conditions, and he doesn't have a toilet, and the toilet became the focus. The judge was like, he has a toilet. Well, it's not a good toilet. Well, don't say he doesn't have a toilet.
He's in prison, or jail, or whatever.
I'm not going to defend Weinstein at all, but I do know of someone that had an encounter with him. And they told me about it months and months and months prior to the first Me Too thing coming out with him. And the encounter was an innocuous kind of encounter. And she told me she laughed it off and said, Harvey, put your clothes back on. She went in to change her clothes to go to an event. And while she was in the room, he disrobed and she came out of the thing and he laughed and says, Harvey, put your clothes back on. So told me that story. She said, we were good friends and people thought we were a thing and I'd go to events with him and I'd be in Cannes. Anyway, great person that person was. So now the thing happens. The first thing happens where the attacks are strong. And she said, what do I do? I go, well, what do you mean? You told me that it was like a nothing kind of a thing, that it was, he did, and he put his, and you were friends with him. Yeah. I says, or if you want to do anything, say that maybe you didn't get offended by that behavior because as a child, you had relatives that did something inappropriate to you and you didn't respond in a certain, I says, that's a better way than to go into that. Anyway, to cut to the story short, full on into the Me Too thing, because it became and I've got 6 daughters.
Really?
Okay. 6 daughters. Yeah, my youngest being 3 years old, and I have 2 sons. And I go, how do you figure this? How do we get through this whole thing? The same thing happened with Bill Cosby. I was on a tour with another big musician who was friends with Bill Cosby, and he said to me, those girls, a lot of the women that accused Bill Cosby, he knew them, and he knew that Bill had them at different homes and houses, letting them stay 5 months at a time rent-free. They were there at the thing. And it's such and being in Hollywood 45 years since 1977 and seeing all the permeations of what it's gone through. I remember the Roxbury on Sunset Boulevard. And if you went with a girl and the girl was, a beautiful girl, and you weren't into any drug use, but another girlfriend would be there and she'd whisper in the girl's ear. And the next thing you know, that other girl would go off into the bathroom with them and they'd be in the bathroom with another guy who was supplying the Quaaludes and everything else. It was a crazy cultural or whatever it is. So there's the hypocrisy and the danger of all that hypocrisy is, and it's no excuse for any of it, but it just is something that is, because friends of mine went to that trial, the Weinstein trial, and they felt that a lot of there was a lot of questioning that could have been gone on with some of the...
Yeah, Mark Garagos told me that what was going on inside the courtroom was different than what was being reported outside the courtroom. And the question is, with all, Me Too or Black Lives Matter, whatever it is, separating the real stuff from the people that get swept up in it. That's going to be our next challenge because, 10 minutes ago they do believe all women. It's like, if we did that, then half the Duke lacrosse team would still be in prison. Like, we can't, that's not an answer. The answer is vet everything thoroughly. But he looks like a guy who was, if there was some sort of mojo vacuum that we could hook it up to your ass, because he was always a big eyesore, but he walked into the room and he was floating on his own mojo, like this guy was like, look at me, the planets and the solar system revolve around me. And when you see him now,
oh boy,
he physically doesn't look that much different because he never was he was a big, fat, ugly guy. Now he's just slightly fat, less fat.
The light has gone out.
But completely out. Like when they talk about that, I was with my grandmother on her deathbed, and I just felt her soul leave. It just felt like his soul just left.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's 70. So, the older we get, we think, 70, that's not very old. But he looks, for 70, you think, oy, are you sure he's not pushing 80? 70's, a vibrant age, we like to think of it as.
He should have fled the country, like I said.
That's what you told him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it just is. It's just and again, all the fawning that he would have at Cannes. I was around those parties, and at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and everyone wanting to go to the, wherever the Miramax film was going to be, or whatever the Academy Award. It was just, and the absolute, and it'd be difficult for a guy, I think, like him, not to think that he's got, like you said, the mojo. He's not looking at himself like Harvey Weinstein at that point. At that point, he's Rudolph Valentino or Valentinovich. You know what I mean? And that's how he sees himself, because that's how he's being
treated.
That's what they're projecting onto him with that power.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Let's not talk about leaving the country. Let's talk about leaving the Earth, because that might be in the works for Tom Cruise. He may be becoming the first civilian to do a spacewalk outside of the International Space Station when he films his next action movie. The producers are working with NASA and Elon Musk's SpaceX to blast the star into space to shoot scenes for a movie which will be a Hollywood first, an everything first. Universal's backing this project, which reportedly carries a budget of $200 million. While it was already known the movie would shoot scenes on the International Space Station, the head of Universal Pictures said the plan is to also have crews up there performing a spacewalk.
Yeah, I don't say this that often, but Katie Holmes should have bit her lip, gotten to Scientology, and wrote it out. You know what I mean? What's Katie Holmes up to? Dawson Creek reunion.
Living peacefully? With her dignity?
I would have just embraced.
Yeah.
I would have found Scientology and just sucked it up.
What about Nicole Kidman?
Yeah,
she's all right.
She had more upside.
Oh, I see.
She's with Keith Urban.
Urban,
right?
that's right.
Yeah,
right.
she landed on her feet.
She did all right.
What's the talent?
Yes. Okay.
Katie Holmes, I would have pulled her aside and went, "This guy's on the fucking road 10 months out of the year."
I imagine.
What I mean? So you just embrace Scientology, whatever the fuck he wants. You're living in 12,000 square feet.
You never have to see him.
It's not like you're bunked up with Weinstein.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're there. You go to separate parts of the manor.
Right.
And then he goes to Prague, and you get out the Cheetos and put on your sweatpants, and and then get into Santeria or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you just clean it up before he comes home.
Once, twice a year, you'll have to be on a red carpet.
Yeah, suck it up.
Yeah, you have a good point. Well, I think
Plus, he's probably going to die jumping from one airplane to the next, or going through a bullet train tunnel and getting clipped by the bridge. At some point, it's going to catch up to him.
No, that's a really good point. I think you're going to be shocked by the premise of the movie that they're working on. They describe it as Cruise's character as a down on his luck guy who finds himself in the position of being the only person who could save the Earth.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone's shocked by the premise, or if
it's well traveled to some degree, but
it's cruisy.
I'll see it. Everyone will see it. I want to see a civilian walking in space in a movie.
He's taking my Navageddon idea here,
Yeah, he's
basically.
getting very close.
That's right.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
What's Navageddon?
Oh boy.
You got
That's your
you got
next
40
directing
minutes?
effort.
Hey, listen, we can get this thing off the ground. It's Los Angeles 2035. All the cars are electric, but there's one old timer named Robert Davi who refuses. He likes his 71 Bronco. He's not getting his catalytic converter stolen. He can juice it up on any corner, blah, blah. It's got range, blah, blah, blah. And at some point, when the Chinese satellite locks everyone in their car and takes over the navigation system and drives them all into the Grand Canyon, he's the only one who can get up and save the world with that satellite because he's the only one driving around a 71 Bronco.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You interested?
I mean,
that's a fun premise.
It's all fallout from a deal Hunter Biden did with the Chinese.
That's right.
Yes.
Follow the money.
Worlds will collide.
You know what? That's not far from the truth, probably.
Yeah.
Only you'd have a lot more guys with their Cadillacs, especially if they're Italians. They love those old cars, you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't be the only one. But what it is...
how would Cuba work?
Well, no, evil Governor Newsom has...
Evil President Newsom.
Evil President Newsom has decided that all cars, your cars will be confiscated, will be crushed, but you've got yours stashed away.
That's good.
All right, one more.
Can I ask you, how did the debate go with Caruso and this? Because I moved to Florida after 45 years. I mean,
everything got solved.
They talked about race for the entire debate, and then they agreed to go home. I didn't watch it. I just watched the part where they were obsessing over race. It was brown on brown crime, black on brown crime, brown on black crime, and lots of reporters from Telemundo asking them about race. So problem solved.
Okay. Well, if you have an iPhone 14, listen up before you hit Disneyland or amusement parks around the country. The new crash detection feature on the phone is reportedly detecting roller coaster rides as full-on car crashes.
Nice.
Oh.
Okay, big deal. But according to reports, the device automatically calls 911.
Oh, it calls your next of kin.
That's right. The Wall Street Journal reported that there have been at least 6 crash detection calls sent out from...
It's a very jerky ride.
That would mess up your back big time. From roller coasters at Kings Island theme park in Cincinnati, Six Flags Great America outside Chicago. The iPhone 14, according to the Apple website, can detect a major car accident and will automatically call 911 in 20 seconds unless the alert is canceled by the phone's owner. So the bug fix they're calling for now is just if you have an iPhone 14, put it on airplane mode before you get on the roller coaster.
Because in your pocket, you can't feel it.
Speaking of satellites, remember all those OnStar commercials? Or like your car's flipped over and it's like, hello, sir, where we'll send emergency vehicles. Remember that was a whole thing?
That was big.
That was the plot of Horrible Bosses.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
What was the whole... What?
That's a good... Don't ask. That's a good one for dead or alive companies.
OnStar?
Yeah.
We don't need OnStar anymore because why?
The cell phones, I think.
The cell phones?
Well, cell phones, I think, a lot of Christie's and my car both have the, call whoever through our proprietary, software.
Right.
So they kind of like what I have with TiVo.
Yeah,
like,
mine, I have the super one.
Yeah, DirecTV just undercut TiVo and, use our software.
All right, so we don't need OnStar anymore.
I guess not. But we're not looking it up.
It was a novelty for a while.
I always like the commercials that depicts any operator because they're always attractive women with appropriate haircuts being super kind. But whenever they deliver the actual calls, especially in the 911, there's always just some sassy black woman yelling at the person, "You've been shot or not?" I love the actual Hollywood version of what super helpful,
very calming.
What headsets look like.
Sipping chamomile.
Yeah, you'd probably go to some place, some call hub in India or something, and they'd be like, "I do not know what to look like." And you'd be like, "I'm upside down. I don't know where I am either." You call back when you get the card right side up. You got to find us an OnStar commercial from the 2004, somewhere in there.
Those were big in the early 2000s.
The car's going to call OnStar. It seemed like a GM Cadillac American-y.
Sure.
And everyone that had one liked doing it. If you were in the car with somebody that had it early on, they'd be doing everything. OnStar, make a reservation at Ma Maison, please, at 2 o'clock.
You could. If you got locked out of your car,
they could unlock it for you.
They could unlock it for you. See, this is why we have to do Navigeddon, because the satellite would unlock it. Crazy, right?
Robert's got a direct.
Yeah, you got
That's
direct.
real?
Yeah, you
the
have a
satellite
treatment?
will unlock your car, really?
You just heard it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, how else would they unlock your car?
I didn't know that was a feature.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, there was something that that they would do.
Any OnStar commercial, I will gladly take that. Now I'm around, huh?
No, I'm just saying I don't think you want any because spoiler alert, there's some from 2022. So
they still exist.
Come on. They still exist.
All right, good to know.
What? Is anyone? I don't know where they run their spots.
I
Not
couldn't
during the
tell you
football.
a car manufacturer that did it.
Yeah, mine comes with Subaru Starlink, which I assume is OnStar.
Oh, I see.
I'm right now because of my catalytic converter being stolen. I am the proud renter of a Chevy Malibu. Has the OnStar button on.
Really?
Yeah.
Just, they're not making a bunch of noise about it.
No,
yeah, any
quiet.
old OnStar commercial, I'll be happy just to see the attractive woman who's working the phone banks.
Josie
over
Davis.
There. Yeah. Okay, well, they can't go blonde. I don't think. Well, she
Back
probably
then,
will
maybe
be.
they could.
Yeah. All right. What
find
the hell
out.
were you talking about? Oh, Tom Cruise. Going to outer space.
And that and the iPhone 14 thinking
Oh,
everything's
that's right.
Are you dying over there?
I just have a little cold. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, let her blow it out.
Thank
Chris
you.
will find an OnStar commercial, and I'll give some. Let me do my last. Oh, it's outro. Sorry.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Harvey, put your clothes back on.
Gina Grad. That was the news.
Was that me saying that?
Indeed.
Well, let me tell you about my friend Jordan Harbinger. All right. Any OnStar before we leave?
Harvey, put your clothes
I'm
back
scrubbing
on.
through to make sure they're okay.
They're okay?
Like
Yeah.
not X-rated?
Okay, here we'll play.
Yeah, what if one features an
Yeah.
Indian?
I haven't-
There goes your point.
I don't know. I'm nostalgic for an OnStar commercial.
They were very helpful.
Yeah.
Never
You
utilized.
could order pizza from an OnStar commercial.
Really?
What?
I'll be home in 15 minutes. I want a
Was
pepperoni
OnStar-
pizza with pineapple on it.
Was
I thought it was
OnStar like
ordered that.
Siri?
I thought it was just for emergencies.
Oh, Saturn. Oh, man.
There you go.
Proprietary?
Is
No,
there
it
one
couldn't
where
have
the
been.
person crashed? That's
Yeah,
the one.
I knew
like
one
when
with
they
an operator.
crashed. Yeah,
Dispatcher.
we need a dispatcher where they crashed. All right, I'll give you a second to look for that. I'll give Robert a plug and Josie Davis a plug too. My Son Hunter available for DVD and streaming. Download it at mysonhunter.com. Shoot Robert Davi a tweet at Robert John Davi. Also, Josie Davis. Well, Black Balsam will come out at some point. You can shoot her a tweet and Instagram at Josie Davis as well.
Josie R. Davis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what it says here. Oh, TikTok. I'm sorry. Did I fuck you up?
No, that's all right. Oh, that was TikTok.
one.
All right, well, TikTok at Josie
And
R.
my
Davis.
Instagram is at Robert Davi. No John in the middle. Just Twitter has the John in the middle.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good. I'm glad you're here to straighten that out. OnStar commercial ready?
Yeah, this one is I think from 2017, but it has the crash in the
Oh,
OnStar
really? They're still running them. So when the chick gets in the accident, they have the good-looking guy
Sure.
answer the phone.
Ken
And when
doll.
the guy gets in the accident, we get the good-looking chick
Got
doing
it.
All right. San Diego, Mic Drop Comedy, October 28th and 29th. Come on out and say hi. We'll do live pods there and stand up there as well. Vegas coming up, St. Louis, Tucson, Tempe. Just go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Robert Davi and Josie Davis and Gina Grad and Bald Brian. Say it. Mahalo.